Let's light a fire. Today, I would like to discuss the topic of magical attitude. In magic, attitude is everything. I get a lot of people who, throughout the years, have come to me with problems or with goals or with desires, and they want to do magic on them. And I'll say, well, I would recommend this, and then that, and then that. Just the other day, I said, somebody wanted to get rid of their debts. And I said, well, here's a great debt spell. You do this, and then you do that, and you keep that up for 8 days. You do it, you repeat it for 8 days, and then you're done. And they said, 8 days? 8 days? I'm not doing this for 8 days. And I thought to myself, I'm not arguing with this person. I'm not arguing with her. I just said, well, then don't. Do something else. And I just kind of, changed the subject and went on my way. But it reminded me of so often how people are when they come to magic. They expect to have results, but they don't want to change. They expect results to happen for them, but they don't want to change. And that's the problem right there, almost exclusively, with so many people that come to magic and want results, but they're not willing to change their attitude. Sometimes I'll get somebody that'll just come in, and I understand, they're so upset because, something happened and they need to fix it. And I'll give them a spell, or I'll give them some operation, something to do. And I'll say, now you just need to have faith that this is working. Well, I can't have faith because everything's ruined. Nothing works for me. I said, well, we have to work on that, because if you come to your magic with this idea of nothing ever works for me, then your magic is going to give you more of what you bring to it. I don't care what kind of magic words you speak, or what kind of candles you burn, or if you burn incense, or what you do. You can do anything you want to, but if you come with the attitude of, you're going to get more of that. You're going to get more of that when you. It's better to just put the candles away and do nothing than to come to magic with that kind of an attitude. And I understand that it can be hard. It can be tough. It can be tough to be able to do what we are required to do in regards to changing our attitude on the spot, on a dime. But that, if it was easy, everybody would do it. If it was so easy, everybody would just be an adept. It's not always easy, but it's still necessary. So when you're trying to get something accomplished, you have to first and foremost look at the attitude that you're bringing. Act as if. They say in a lot of 12-step programs, they say fake it till you make it. But we say act as if and you shall become. So if you are afraid and you're doing a spell for courage, you gotta come to that spell with as much courage as you can muster. If you're destitute and broke and you want to have more financial abundance, then you have to come to that spell with this attitude of I'm abundant, and my abundance is now increasing, and you just fake it. You just buck up and you just fake it. You do your very, very best to play to play the role of an abundant person while you're in that spell. Especially while you're in that spell. But when you get out of the spell, when you're not conjuring anymore, you also need to watch your attitude. Because imagine you go plant a seed in your garden, and then you allow all the weeds to come in and take it over, and all the pests to come in, and you don't even do anything about it. You have all these pests and all these weeds, and all these gophers are coming in and digging up the seeds, and you think, well, I tried. You don't take responsibility for the fact that those gophers, those pests, are the negative attitudes that you go back to. So you go and you do a spell for peace in your home, and then when you are done casting the spell, you go right back to bitching and complaining. And causing rifts with other family members, or you do a spell to pay your debts, And then you get out of you leave the spell and you start fretting and worrying about how you're ever going to pay these bills. So your job really is to fix your attitude and keep it fixed, even if you have to feel like you're faking it for a while. Because you're not faking it so much as you're giving your deep mind a template that you want it to follow. And it may take a while before it kicks in and stays, So if you catch yourself bringing to your magic this negative, fearful attitude, just notice it, stop and regroup and rethink it. You start again, start all over again. I had somebody just the other day, and they emailed me, and I just FYI, I prefer not to get emails. I prefer to help people on the forums and on the Facebook group, because otherwise that's all I'm doing. And so I gave them what to do, my recommendation on how to handle it, and of course, but next day, it's not working. Well, how do you know it's not working? You just did it. Well, it's not. I can just tell. It's not working. Nothing's working for me. And I said, well, there's your problem. Nothing's working for me is what you're bringing into everything. You've got to have faith that this will work. You've got to muster faith that this will work. Now, that's why oftentimes when you're trying to get the attitude of faith, it's better to work on goals that are a little bit smaller at first while you're building that faith so that you can have some success to back yourself up with. But regardless of that, you have to take responsibility for the thoughts that you're thinking and for the attitudes that you're bringing. And what you can do with a lot of times people don't even think of this, and this is such an important thing to think about. Doing magic to get your magic more powerful. Doing magic so that your magic becomes more effective. Magic to increase your magical abilities. And one of the magic abilities that you have to be able to have is the ability to conjure an attitude at will. Conjure an attitude at will, conjure an emotion at will, and being able to sustain that for a while. You just have to remind yourself that when you come to magic, magic gives you more of what you bring to it. Just like life, but magic really speeds it up. So coming to magic without getting your attitude in order first is really unwise. But the only way to do that is still by sitting and conjuring. The art of conjuration is different than what most people think it is. Most people think of conjuring spirits or conjuring entities. What you're conjuring is thought forms. What you're conjuring is emotion. What you're conjuring is attitude. Now, your attitude is your overarching experience of a central thought. So if your attitude is bad, there's probably a central thought in there that attitude is reflecting. For perhaps nothing ever works for me. And so your attitude is going to be nothing ever works for me, and you're going to be a bummer to be around. And that includes you're going to be a bummer to be around on the astral as well as on the physical. And so your magic will reflect that. So what you need to do is find what those thoughts are and learn how to change them and keep them changed. Nothing ever works for me. You can turn that into, I'm willing for things to work out. You don't have to turn it into everything works out for my highest good if you're not ready for that. But you can be, I'm willing for things to start working out for me. I'm willing to see things differently. I'm willing for things to work out in a way that I didn't expect, that is for my highest good. I'm willing for that to happen. I'm willing to lay down all of my negative thoughts that I bring to this situation and just put those away for now and see what happens. That's a lot more positive of an attitude than nothing ever works for me, or this won't work. Have you seen people? Well, I don't know if you've been around a lot of people that do magic, but you see it all the time. People coming to magic as a last resort, as an act of utter desperation. Well, what do you think they're going to get? They're going to get desperate results. They're going to get the results that reflect that kind of desperation. So whenever somebody comes to me, especially if they have no experience in this, and they say, I need a spell for this, or I need a spell for that, will it work? I say, I don't know. I don't know if it's going to work for you. What's your attitude like? Are you able to think in ways and feel the emotions that are conducive for the energies that you're wanting to invoke and evoke in your life? Because if you're not capable of doing that, it probably won't work for you. It's just going to be something you're doing with candles. It probably won't work. But if you can follow directions and you can just do your best to change these attitudes, you don't have to be a master at it, but just do your best, it probably will work. And if you can be wise about what your goals are with magic and start with things that are somewhat in your sphere of influence first and expand that sphere of influence slowly over time, it'll work even better. And then you'll start to get on that path of success, and you'll start getting into a habit of having success with your magic. And then, of course, you won't have to work on your attitude so much because your attitude will be naturally in lockstep with your higher good. Your soul doesn't have a bad attitude. Never has a bad attitude. So when you have a bad attitude, you know that you are at odds with yourself. You know that you're at odds with your soul. Your soul never has a bad attitude. Your soul is never depressed. Your soul is never angry. Your soul is never worried. Your soul is never afraid. So if any of those things are happening, you know you're at odds with your soul. So that's good news to at least know that. And you can say, okay, nothing's going to work for me because my attitude is bad. I'm going to go right to my soul. I'm going to go right to that source and ask to be helped, to ask to be shown how to have a change in this so that I can start to pull in the things, the people, the situations, the money, the whatever it is that I need, that I want, that I desire, that are my birthright. It's hard to recognize the fact that your whole life you've been feeling like a victim and that the bulk of your problems are you. It really does sting. It does. And I'm not saying that you haven't been victimized. Let's not go down that road. We've all had problems that are not our fault. I'm just talking about the bulk of it. I'm talking about the bulk of the problems that you can control. They are problems of your own making. And it's important to realize this. It's important to own that. Because then, if you own that, then you can say, well, if I had a bad attitude that created horrible experiences, I can have a good attitude that create good experiences. And when I add magic to that good attitude, boy, it's really going to be powerful. It's going to pack a real punch. And I'm going to be able to start having the things and the situations in my life that I desire and that are my birthright. So what you bring to your magic is not just your radial mind. It's not just your objective thoughts. It's not even what you're feeling, although those two things are of prime importance, but we talk about those all the time. But it's your overarching mood. It's your overarching attitude. What are you expecting? Because your attitude is always based on what you're expecting, isn't it? If you have a bad attitude, it's because you're expecting things not to work out for you. How many times have you called like the phone company, like AT&T, and your first thought is, oh, well, this is going to take all day. We know how AT&T works. This is going to suck. I'm going to be on the phone all day long, and I'm just, and then by the time they answer, you're ready to yell at them because you've worked yourself up, right? You could just as easily say, I'm going to have a really good experience with this. I'm going to get this done in record time with no stress, and it's going to be wonderful. And then maybe the phone call you still are on hold for a long time, but because you got a good attitude, you put it on speaker and you do something else while you're waiting. And it's no big deal. And usually 9 times out of 10, when you have the right attitude, the C's part for you. And you have this record hold time that nobody has, where you were only on hold for 30 seconds and they come through for you and you get everything that you needed. And usually they'll go the extra mile for you because you were so awesome to them. You were the one person that day that was just so awesome to them. and you were such a pleasure to be with and to help that they're going to go the extra mile and they're going to find something for you that they wouldn't have found for somebody else because they're so appreciative of you. Tell me that's not magic. So you have the power. You have the power at every moment of time and point of space. You have the power to change how you're experiencing anything. And it all comes down to your attitude. When you can conjure the right attitude that's appropriate for the experience that you are seeking. Well, thank you very much for joining me today. It's always my pleasure to be with you, and I can't wait to work with you again. And until that time, blessed be.